disciplining your mind. So, here we go. The first one is called The Search for the Ox. These were made, I think in the 1960s, these images. But you can find them pretty much anywhere. In fact, if you travel to South Korea or China, you can find these painted on the wall as like the steps that you do when you're studying on the way to enlightenment. So, The Search for the Ox. The young boy is here walking through the woods. The poem that goes with this reads something like, I walk through the woods, I have no idea where I'm going, I don't know which direction to go, I've heard there's an ox out here, but the only thing I can hear are cicadas, and it's kind of annoying. That's not a direct quote of the poem. My Chinese isn't that good. Basically, this is your first debate tournament, is what I think. You go off in the woods, you're like, no one's told me what to look for, I can't find anything, I don't know what I'm doing here, all I hear is a bunch of chirping. I don't really know what's going on. But it says you have to persevere, and it's actually quite ironic what you have to do. You have to go deeper into the woods, deeper into the unknown, in order to find the thing that you're looking for, if it's even there. You kind of even believe, at some points you might be like, why am I even doing this? It's like Saturday. What am I doing here? This is the dumbest thing. But you've heard rumors that there's an ox out there that's untamable. Right? It would be impossible to be the best debater in the world, but you're kind of like, oh yeah, I think I could do that. So you have to go deeper into the woods to find it. This is the first one. It's called The Search for the Ox. The second one, Discovering the Footprints. Now you see he's running along. He's got a whip and a rope. He's ready to go. He can see the beginning of the footprints here. But the poem that goes with this says, you see the footprints here and there, or they might be footprints, or they suddenly stop, and then you're just lost in the woods again. Or they do impossible things. They double back around on themselves and stuff. This is the point in debating when you are sort of trying to figure out how to be good at it. You're starting to see, okay, there are some little things I could do that would make me better at it. I can see the footprints of the people who've come before. I can kind of see what they're doing. I'm going to try to do that, but it never really makes any sense. Like, this is also the point, I think, in debate where you get so frustrated that you're just like, I've almost given up on trying to be good at this. This is really hard. And then you go to your next debate, and you win. And you're like, how did that happen? I wasn't even trying as hard as I was early in the morning. I just kind of wanted to go home. And then you see the footprints, and it makes you run faster and deeper into the woods. Because the next round, you're like, I'm going to do the exact same thing that we did. Let's do the exact same thing we did in that last debate. Okay. And you do it, and you get a 4. And you're like, what? How could this be? Well, it's the contingent universe pushing back on you a little bit. Like, one strategy that works in one place won't work in another one. And that's just the way the world kind of works. There's no secret trick. I always tell my debaters, there's no trick. There's no tick box, like steps of things. There's no trick at all. In fact, if you're learning just tricks, like 7 things to do when you're opening government, stuff like that, this is the footprints of the ox. This kind of stuff is very, it's very ephemeral, and it's not really capturing your own arguing mind. If Mercy and Sperber are right, you don't need to be, your reason doesn't need to be that good first. You just need to be put in an argumentative situation, and your ability to reason goes way up. And that's what their research indicated. So if we want reasonable people, we need more people debating and being put in real argumentative situations. And not sort of like, oh, quick, follow this path. What's the trendy path? What's the cool thing to do? Should I have a model or not? Should I do this? These kind of questions are like the kind of questions you are at when you're on this part of the search for the arguing mind. Okay, next one. Perceiving the ox. This is when you finally get a glimpse of the arguing mind. Right, this is, of course, the enlightened mind. And I'm taking a lot of liberties with these religious images. But I think this is a great image of what I felt like in debate when I finally started to get it when I was a high school debater. It was always like seeing this just for a minute and it moves away. It's like you're in the debate and you see exactly what you needed to do to win, but it's too late. Right? Have you ever had that feeling before? Yeah. This is exactly what we need to do. Oh, my speech is over. Oh, my partner just messed that up for us. Oh, great. So you can see where you're supposed to be, but you can't quite really get it together or capture it. You can only get an image of it. And it's either you see the horns or you see the tail, and this one he sees the tail, or you can see the body of it, but you can never quite get it all at once. You're not in a position really to capture it yet. I think that this position, or this one, it's you have clarity and then it's gone. Or you have a moment of clarity and then it's gone. Or you have lots of confusion, one moment of clarity, and then it's gone. So the way to overcome this is to keep following the ox. And this is pretty much what each one of these things helps you do. It helps you overcome your frustration because you've seen that someone's been there before you have been there. Capturing the ox. This is a very dramatic one. I like this one a lot. So he's finally got the lasso on the thing, but he can't really control it. But at least he's got a hold of what his mind is supposed to be like. Now, this is a great... there's a great metaphor for this as well, is when you're at the debate competition, everybody's always talking. And the conversations go all over the place. Have you noticed that? This is how you are when you're in this stage of your debate trajectory. You have a grasp on it, but it goes, in the poem that goes with this, it says, the ox runs wherever it wants to. It goes way, way high up in the mountains, and then suddenly way, way down in the valley. So you can think, like when you get emotion, does your mind do that same thing? Like you kind of race around, you find, oh, we can say all these things, oh, and we can say all these things, oh, we can say all these things. And it kind of races around everywhere. So you're being taken for a ride by your mind. Like, who's in control here, you or your mind? That's the question that this one asks. Who's really in control? Is it your mind that's leading you, or are you leading your mind around? And it's hard to discipline the ox. In fact, in the next couple of images, this one doesn't change, but as the ox becomes more tame, it turns more white to indicate that it's becoming more clear. Or it's not dirtied with all the different assumptions about the world that you might have. So here we are, taming the ox. He looks pretty confident. He looks a little beat up, though. Poor guy, his shirt has come open. It was a rough go, but now he's got the ox on a rope. And this is when you are like, have your mind disciplined to a point where you can lead it around, take it to where you need to, but it's still not a completely comfortable relationship. The mind will pull and try to go one way, you pull the rope and pull it back. And debating can help with this quite a bit. The more debating that you do, it helps you sort of discipline your mind to think about what is really important in these motions. What's really important in the issue that we face. What argument is actually the one I really need to respond to? Instead of, in the previous one, I wonder if I can go back to the previous one. Yeah, I can. In the previous one, it's like, this is the attitude of the debater who's like, I can respond to that argument, so I'm going to. This is a recipe for failure. Right? Just because you can respond to an argument in debate doesn't mean you should, naturally. It means that natural response is not necessary. But there might be some argument that's more important that you need to respond to more quickly or more thoroughly. So just if you're listening in a debate and you're like, aha, I know what to say against that argument, then you get up to speak and you're like, 35 minutes ago when that person spoke over there, they said this one thing and I can beat it. I mean, the judge will be like, uh-huh, that's great. I want to hear about the entire thing. So that's the difference between this and this. Your natural inclination is to run off and do your own thing, but if you have the mind on a short leash, then you can pull it back and focus on what is actually sort of important in the debate. Okay. Riding the ox home. This is when you finally win. And this is like a picture of like great celebration. The guy is like riding. He's not even facing forward because he trusts his mind so much. He's playing the flute. He's jamming out. He's having a great time. It's a party on the back of the ox. Right? The mind is fully disciplined. And this is when you like really feel pretty good about how well you're doing in debate. And you're like, yeah, we're doing all right. We're doing pretty good. We're on 12. It's good. Da-da-da. This kind of thing. It's like celebrating that you've dominated this thing and that it's under your control. The poem that goes with this one says it doesn't try to escape. It goes where the master wants it to, and he's celebrating his domination over it, which of course is not exactly fully the awareness that he's going to be getting in the next few slides, but it's a good one. It's good to celebrate when you've overcome the mind and you say, yes, I did extremely well at this tournament. I managed to keep my mind disciplined. I managed to keep an argumentative focus. I managed to talk about the most important things. And now I'm going to ride the beast home and show everybody my great mind. But once he gets there, you can translate this one a couple of different ways. Ox transcended or ox forgotten. And both of them have very different meanings in English. So I put both of them on there. But in the Chinese, it only has one meaning. I consulted a bunch of different translations for this, but I think forgotten is a little bit different than transcended. So I don't know which way you want to do it. But this is him at home, and he looks kind of sad. And he's sitting there, and he's like, what do I do now? What did I go out into the woods to get? I got something that I kind of feel like I already have. So he's let the ox go, basically, is what the poem says. and the ox wanders freely because he knows it's discipline. He doesn't have to keep it on a rope. He doesn't have to ride it around and show off. He can just very peacefully sit there and enjoy the fact that his mind is disciplined. This is connected to a lot of things in Buddhism. Lots of concepts in Buddhism, like become a businessless person, which is kind of a rough translation of what some Chinese monks had said. Become somebody who you don't really have anything that you need to do or to show off to other people, but you enjoy the ability to sit and reflect inside your well-disciplined mind. All right? So you can think about things and kind of rest like he's doing. He's let the ox wander off somewhere because he knows that he can discipline it and break it whenever he needs to. As he's thinking about it, he's like, why did I go off in search of something that I kind of already had? And this also made me think of the Mercier and Sperber article as well, because they are saying that we're sort of teaching things that we already have. We already have an ability to argue that sort of naturally works pretty well. What doesn't work very well is reason and rationality. Those things don't work as well, but we can make them work well if we argue